Really? Really? Welcome to my first video ever. This little guy was lost at Goodwill and I liberated him for $1.99. Toshiba actually released a huge line of sea creature electronics, including mouses and flash drives. The line is called Polychan. Too cute. We're going to give him a makeover and make him a mouse pad to live on. Nail polish remover is what I had on hand, so I'm just stripping his face and his body of any marks that is on there previously. There was some dirty spots, so I definitely washed him off beforehand. I tried to get him as clean as possible so that when we go ahead and sand him, there won't be any weird lettering there or ink there anymore. So I went ahead and sanded him with a low grit sandpaper, making sure to get all the crevices just like I did with the nail polish remover, making sure that every single bit is sanded so that we have a complete bond when we go ahead and put our first layer on. So just like with the other steps, we're going to go ahead and wipe him down because we don't want any of that dust mixing in with that first layer of paint. Otherwise, it's going to be super grainy and really uncomfortable to paint on. With every single layer that I did, I sprayed it down with Mr. Clear, and I went ahead and painted on top, sprayed, painted on top, sprayed, painted on top, sprayed, just so that the bottom layer does not blend into the new layers that I have to do in order to give the back some more depth. At this point, he did end up looking more like a narwhal than anything. It's unfortunate that I couldn't give him a horn, but that would be fairly uncomfortable given that his head goes into the palm of my hand. The dabbing technique is super basic. The only thing that I'm doing is I'm flipping the applique onto the fluffier side so that when the paint goes onto the mouse, it brings little tiny fibers with it, so it gives it a more furry texture, because I definitely wanted to bring that aspect in since seals are super fluffy. Damn, he is looking pretty spiffy. I wanted to give him a rest, so I sprayed him once more, and then I wanted to get started on the computer pad and the mouse pad. I wanted to make him a little tiny home. So I did wash this multiple times. It was a feeding placemat for my cat, and it definitely didn't work well for that, so I just decided to reuse it. I measured it out just going off of Google measurements for mouse pads, and I did allow some seam allowance. Then I went ahead and just sewed her up. There were so many references for seashells and live creature in the sea that I could have gone off of, and I feel like I picked the best ones out of all of them. I started on the seafloor to start the base, just brown. The way that I was putting this onto the fabric was putting a dab of paint on the top of the brush, dipped the tip in water, and let the brush filter itself out onto the fabric. This is acrylic paint, not fabric paint, so I had to act accordingly. I started with the rocks to create the landscape. I've always been obsessed with sea creatures and seashells, and I'm not sure if it stemmed from The Little Mermaid when I was a child, or if it was the only and one visit that I had to North Carolina where we collected clams in our cargo shorts to eat later. But I feel so at home by the water, and maybe that's why I want to surround myself with nautical theme. I'm painting all the shapes in with a flat white so that the color will really pop when I put the color in for the seashells and for the rest of the little creatures living in this little dude's home. Creating motion is not one of my strong suits. I tried to look as many reference photos as I possibly could of water reflecting onto sand, but I feel like it all just told me to scribble on it in random lines, so that's what I tried to do. Then seafoam was the next step, which is absolutely my favorite. I started with white, and then I lined the edges with blue so that you could see the blue color of the water in it. because I have to do this. Because I want to. I know you're tired. We can cuddle later. I love you too. I have paint on my hand. I can't scratch you. I actually really like it. It took me forever to get these fins done. God forbid I be able to make one straight line with a paintbrush, one would think. I also gradiated, is that the word? The fins and the line down his back. I personally love making dots, love making them completely random on random surfaces. And guess what? There are so many different types of seals. It didn't matter because all of them had what? Tons and tons of spots. So I just kind of went ham. This little dude definitely had bath after bath after bath of clear sealant just to preserve all that is getting painted on him. I don't want any of it to rub off. This is me attempting my best circus act of trying to get the paint off the electrical cord. I think I did a pretty darn good job. I didn't get any of the paint off, so I moved up to the little scroller knob. Is that what it's called? Scroller knob. And I went ahead and just kind of picked away at the paint. On this particular model, it was rubber, so I was able just to kind of scrape it off. At 2 a.m. last Sunday, I finished his face. I didn't get to record that part, but he's looking pretty snazzy, if I don't say so myself. There's this little tiny part by the fin on his face that was scraped off. I'm not sure how that happened, but I found a solution, actually. While scrolling through the interwebs, I actually came upon the seal at Torkari Center in Japan, and he had a little tiny stuffed seal that looked like him, and he just looked so damn happy, and I want my seal to be that happy. I can't find the seal's name, funny enough, so if you find that out, let me know, because I would love to name this little guy after that dude. He was super cute. I wanted to make him cross-eyed because I think anything with eyes are super, super adorable. He did end up looking more like a soot sprite than anything, if I'm being honest.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine. You just can't get into it because they would never understand.
This is when I realized that I had smudged the little dude. So I had to try my best to take off some of that white paint and try my hand again, but I didn't redo the fur. I just used darker color around the snoot of the stuffed animal, and repainted him. The little stuffed animal was alive again. So I definitely went over him again with super clear spray, and here I'm just doing the little tiny whiskers because little tiny seals have little tiny whiskers. And then I put some eyebrows on him. Unfortunately, I was not wearing my glasses when I was doing this, and it kind of looks like he's given a raised eyebrow, which I can go with. A suspicious seal it is. Maybe he thinks we're gonna take his stuffed animal from him. Who knows? Oh my gosh, he is just too cute for words. His little stuffed animal friend is the cutest things ever. The cross eyes totally get me. All the dots on him were totally worth the time. Him and his little tiny home. It's so sweet. I did add some pearls onto the edges and a bow and a flower to match the computer set that I have